My name's Ethan. I'm 35, and I've spent my whole life building what I thought was a strong, unshakable partnership. I'm an engineer, always been the rational, methodical type. I don't believe in coincidences. Everything happens for a reason, and if you're paying attention, you'll see the pattern where others see only chaos. My wife, Lauren, was the center of my world. We've been together for 10 years, and all that time, I was sure we had a perfect marriage. We've been through a lot, built our life piece by piece, bought a house in the suburbs of Boston, and grew our small family business. I loved her, and she loved me. Or at least, that's what I thought. But something changed in the last few months. At first, it was just little things, so small that I didn't even pay attention. She started spending more time on her phone, replying to messages with a light, almost teenage-like smile on her face. She stayed out later at work, even though her schedule used to be as predictable as clockwork. She paid more attention to her appearance, wearing makeup even when she was just running out for groceries, buying new lingerie that I'd never seen on her. At first, I chalked it up to a desire to spice things up, maybe a midlife crisis. I tried to ignore it, pretend I didn't notice. But one night, everything changed. It was an ordinary evening. We had dinner, watched a movie, and she went to bed first. I stayed downstairs, sorting through work reports. The house was quiet, with only the faint hum of the fridge breaking the silence. Then I saw it, her phone, left on the couch, lit up with an incoming message. I didn't look at it right away. But when I finally glanced over, something inside me snapped. I miss you. When can we do this again? Short, but a gut punch of a message. I heard her footsteps on the stairs. She quickly grabbed her phone, glanced at the screen, and without hesitation, swiped it away. Then she looked at me and smiled. "It's just Sam, my friend. Silly jokes." She said it calmly, confidently, but I noticed her fingers gripped the phone a little tighter than usual. She didn't even give me a chance to ask. She just turned and went upstairs. I could have confronted her right then, asked questions, demanded the truth. But something inside me held me back. I just sat there, staring into space. Since then, something in me changed. I no longer looked at Lauren the same way. Now, I was looking for something, searching for signs that confirmed what had already been eating at me. And soon enough, I found them. I've always thought of myself as a rational person. I figured that if problems came up in life, you could solve them with logic, analysis, and facts. But the night I saw that message on Lauren's phone, I realized logic wasn't cutting it anymore. All that was left was my gut feeling. And it was screaming one thing in my ear. I was being betrayed. But one suspicion isn't proof. What if I was wrong? What if it really was just some dumb joke from her friend? What if I let jealousy ruin what we'd built over the last 10 years? I couldn't accuse her without evidence. I needed to know the truth. That's when I decided not to make a scene, not to say a word. Instead, I started watching. Lauren had changed. That much was obvious. She started coming home later, and her phone was hardly ever left unattended. If before she'd easily share her plans, now her answers were vague. So much work, I'm tired, clients. But the weirdest part started when I tried to check her story. One day, she said she'd be staying late for a meeting. I decided to swing by her office just to check in, no warning. When I got there, her colleagues looked surprised and said, "Lauren? She left 2 hours ago." I thanked them and left, trying not to show any emotion. 2 hours. Where had she been all that time? After that, I became even more observant. In the evenings, when she'd go to the shower, I'd check her phone. No strange messages, nothing suspicious. Too clean. And that bothered me more than anything. One evening, I felt something wasn't right. She came home later than usual, and when I went to kiss her, I was hit by the scent of expensive men's cologne. Not mine. "New scent?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh yeah, they were handing out samples at the mall. Thought I'd try it," she replied, tucking her hair behind her ear. A lie. Smooth, calculated, without a single hesitation. I just nodded and changed the subject. But inside, I was seething. The next day, I did something I'd never have thought of before. I installed a hidden camera in the hallway. A small device tucked away among books on the shelf, recording everything that happened in our house. I waited for a week where I played the role of the loving husband, smiling, kissing her in the mornings, making breakfast, asking about her day. All the while, I knew the truth was coming, and it didn't take long. One evening, when I was at work, the camera caught her. She was standing in front of the mirror, adjusting a little red dress. I knew it well. She only wore it for special occasions. But tonight, we had no special plans. I watched her put on lipstick, slip into high-heeled shoes, smile at her reflection. Then, checking her phone, she walked out the door. The next day, I watched the footage over and over again. The same question kept pounding in my head. Who was she trying so hard to impress? I already knew the answer. Now I just had to catch her in the act. When you find out that the person you've trusted with your whole life is betraying you, it feels like a slow poison. It doesn't kill you right away, but it slowly seeps into every cell of your mind, eating you up from the inside. After that night when I saw Lauren in the red dress, I couldn't think of anything else. I knew I needed proof, but even without it, I already understood everything. The only question was, how far had she gone? The next day, I told her I was going to meet with a client, but I stayed in town and kept an eye on her. It was easy. She never suspected I could do something like that. A couple of hours after her workday, I saw her leave the office. She didn't look tired, wasn't weighed down with papers or thinking about work. No, she looked excited. I slowly followed her. She turned toward downtown, heading for one of those hotels meant not for tourists, but for people who need a place to hide. My stomach tightened into a knot. She parked, killed the engine, and checked her reflection in the rearview mirror, like she was making sure she looked good. Then the door of her car opened, and he got in. Jason. I recognized him immediately. Tall, fit, in an expensive suit, with that smug grin that I now hated. He leaned in and kissed her. Lauren smiled. She looked happy. The way she hadn't looked with me in a long time. I gripped the steering wheel so hard that my knuckles turned white. They stayed in the car for a few minutes, then got out and headed into the hotel. I didn't move, just watched. I could have jumped out of the car, screamed, punched Jason in the face, demanded an explanation from Lauren. I could have done all that. But I didn't. Instead, I pulled out my phone and filmed them as they walked inside, laughing and holding hands. I snapped a few pictures. Evidence, and then I just drove away. The next morning I acted like nothing happened, made breakfast, kissed Lauren goodbye before she went off to work. She looked me in the eyes and smiled. "I love you," she said. I barely held myself back from laughing in her face. When she left, I sat down at her laptop. She'd been careful lately, but not careful enough. I knew someone else had entered her life, and that meant there were ways to confirm it. I opened her email. The main inbox was empty. But then I noticed the second tab. The one she apparently hadn't thought to delete. And there they were, the emails. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Yesterday was amazing. I want you again. When is he leaving? I want to spend the night with you. I never thought I could love someone this much, other than him. They'd been seeing each other for 6 months. I closed the laptop and exhaled. In that moment, I realized one thing. I didn't just want to expose her. I wanted her to pay for this. After I read their messages, I could have confronted her right then and there. I could have made a scene, yelled, slammed the papers down on the table, and pointed her to the door. But I didn't. I wanted to see how far she would go. I kept living with Lauren as if nothing had happened. I watched her smile at me over breakfast, nodding at my work stories, kissing me goodnight. And all the while, I knew that every "I love you" was a lie. That when she smiled, her thoughts weren't about me. That when she picked up her phone, her fingers were texting another man. Every day felt like torture. But I endured it. I kept track of everything, gathered evidence, noted dates, messages, phone calls. I knew that this moment needed to be perfectly planned. I started noticing the little things, how she'd nervously hide her phone when I walked into the room, how she'd linger in the bathroom, whispering to someone, how late she came home from work. I started asking questions. No accusations, just curiosity. "You're staying late again? Do the clients keep you that busy?" "Yeah, we've got a really tough project right now," she answered one day, without even blinking. A lie. I knew exactly where she had been that night. I knew who she was with, but I just nodded. The real blow came out of nowhere. One evening, we were having dinner at home, and Lauren was looking at me with some strange expression. Like pity. "You really should take better care of yourself," she said, twirling her fork. You're not the same as you used to be. You're always at work, tired, closed off. Maybe you should work out or change your style?" I looked at her, and something inside me boiled. She was cheating on me. She was lying to me, living a double life. And now she was trying to make me feel guilty because she wasn't attracted to my appearance anymore? I gritted my teeth and smiled. "You're right, I should change something." That night I lay in bed, listening to her even breathing beside me, and I realized it was time to end this game. I got up, quietly left the room, and sat down at the laptop. I opened the folder where I had stored all the evidence: videos, messages, photos, call recordings. Everything was ready. Tomorrow, she'll know that I know. And this time, when I tell her I need to change something, I won't be talking about myself. I'll be talking about her life. For the whole next week, I worked on my plan. I didn't just want to expose Lauren. I wanted to make her feel every second of my humiliation, every sleepless night, every moment I looked at her and knew she was lying. I set everything up perfectly. I told her I was going away for a business trip for a couple of days. I picked the moment when her guilt was long gone. By now, living a double life, lying to my face, it was normal for her. She'd gotten careless. And carelessness? That's the perfect soil for a fall. Before my trip, I set up a romantic dinner. Candles, wine, her favorite dish. I could see it threw her off. "Wow, what's the occasion?" she asked, sitting down at the table. "Just wanted to remind you how much I love you," I replied, looking her in the eyes. She smiled. Was it sincere? Maybe. But deep down I knew this dinner wouldn't change her choices. After dinner I left, but not for the business trip. I parked in the next block and waited. I didn't have to wait long. 2 hours later, a car pulled up. "Jason." Lauren opened the door, hugged him, and let him inside. They were laughing. Then the projector kicked on. I'd set it up in the living room earlier. The screen lit up with video footage, her and Jason leaving the hotel. Then fragments of their messages. Then a call recording. "I love you. He doesn't know anything." A sharp scream came from the house. I heard glass shattering, then the sound of footsteps. The door flew open, and Lauren ran outside, looking back in panic. I got out of the car and slowly walked toward her. "You took so long making me look like an idiot," I said calmly. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" Her face went pale. Her lips were trembling. She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand, silencing her. Jason came running out, stunned. "Dude?" I turned to face him. "Pack up and get lost. You're just a mistake in her life. Her last mistake." He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but when he saw my face, he shut up. He turned and left. I looked at Lauren. "Now you know what it feels like to be humiliated, to feel like your life is falling apart. But you know what the difference is?" I leaned in closer. "I have an out, and you don't." I turned and walked away, leaving her alone in the middle of the night on the cold doorstep of a house that no longer belonged to her. After that night, everything started falling apart for Lauren at an alarming speed. I filed for divorce as soon as I left our house. It was a blow to her, but an even bigger one came from the fact that I approached the whole thing with cold, calculated precision. We shared a business, but thanks to some legal maneuvers, I was able to pull my share out, leaving her without support. Our house, our assets, everything she thought of as ours was structured in such a way that she ended up with far less than she expected. She tried to fight back, tried to manipulate, beg. "We can fix this, Ethan." Her voice trembled when we met in the lawyer's office. "It was a mistake. I was stupid. I didn't want to lose you." I looked at her. Sitting across from me was the woman who had once been the meaning of my life. Now she was just a stranger. "You didn't lose me yesterday, Lauren," I replied calmly. "You lost me the day you decided I wasn't worthy of the truth." She cried, but now her tears meant nothing. "Jason?" He disappeared as quickly as he'd shown up. As soon as he realized everything was out in the open, that I wasn't going to suffer silently, and that Lauren was now a burden, not a prize, he ran. He didn't answer her calls, deleted her from social media. She lost him too. All she had left was an empty house and a ruined life. Months went by. The divorce was final. I sold the house, moved the business to another city, and started fresh. And you know what the strangest part is? I felt free. Lauren thought I wouldn't be able to live without her, that I'd break. But the truth was, for the first time in years, I felt light. No more questions, no more suspicions, no more putting up with lies. I didn't jump right into a new life, but step by step, I found my way back to myself. I got into shape, found new hobbies, met people who reminded me that sincerity still exists in the world. Lauren? The last I heard, she was trying to get back on her feet, but without success. Her reputation was shattered. Her colleagues knew about the affair, her friends turned their backs. She tried to reach out to me a few times, but I didn't respond. Her time in my life was over. And now when I look toward the future, I no longer see ghosts from the past. Just new opportunities. I survived. I won. And her? She lost everything.